How's it going, everybody? I found this tweet here by Brandy Cruz, who is pretty mad at the Blaine School District. As she writes it, this worksheet was handed out to some students in the Blaine School District. What is the point? Why are we doing this to kids? My power per privilege score is 18. Must mean I'm a horrible human. Now, for this particular video, I'm going to assume that this was actually handed out to the students at Blake School District, but there's always the possibility that Brandy has it all wrong or she has fabricated this. I mean, I have no proof that this was given out to the students. So, for the sake of argument, though, I'm going to assume it was, because this is more about warning future teachers on what not to do. Hello out there. I am trying to get through.
With his powerful brainwaves cradled in the warmth of reasoning, it's time for Johnny Walker Dread to straighten you out on a thing or two. Emanating all the way from exciting Las Vegas, Oklahoma, it's the Johnny Walker Dread Show.
So this is a blow up of the image, power over privilege checklist. And it's interesting that this is shown as a ratio. So power over privilege. We're going to find out that that's going to be a little bit of a problem, but here we go. This exercise is to help you learn about those areas of your life in which you have privilege and those areas in which you do not. And of course, this has no educational value at all. Please look at the descriptions in each column. Check off in each column the descriptions that apply to you, and that's a little bit problematic. When you are finished, give yourself 1 point for each item checked off in the column marked norm, and 1 point for each item checked off in the column marked other. Subtract the total in the other column from the total in the norm column. This will give you your power per privilege score. Well, wait a minute. They have it written as power divided by privilege. In other words, a factor. So this is the power per privilege. And yet you compute that power per privilege ratio by subtracting. Yeah, math is hard for some teachers. Jeez, I mean, come on. And of course, it follows the typical tripe that you find. If you're a man and white and heterosexual, non-transgender, wealthy, I guess students are wealthy? Really? Okay. Adult. Oh, I get it. They actually took this from training materials that were aimed at adults and didn't even modify them. So the kids are like, wait, how are we supposed to fill this thing out? And all the typical usual. All right. Temporarily able-bodied. I guess they're opening up the possibility that the person could get disabled in the future. Or maybe they have overcome disabilities in the past. I have no idea. Traditionally educated. This is given out in a school district. I think every kid's going to have to check that one off. And society's definition of attractive. Oh, boy. Society's definition of emotionally stable. All right, here's a little tip, okay? And again, I don't know if this was truly given out to students. If it was, this is pretty bad. And the reason why is you're asking students for private information that you're not entitled to. This is a blatant invasion of privacy and is actionable, okay? So if you're a teacher, do not give out something like this. You can be disciplined for this. And young adult or middle-aged, well, I have a feeling that the students are going to say probably young adult, I would imagine. English speaking, average size, whatever. We see the typical, we get it, all right? And of course, this is stereotyping to the extreme. We get a little bit further down here. And we have Christian versus those with other beliefs than Christian. You cannot collect this information from students. And if you do, that raises all kinds of problems. Number one, you have collected sensitive information about that student. If I'm the principal, I walk in and say, show me your data management plan. How are you disposing of the papers once you collect them? You can't just throw them away. Are you storing the results of this on a computer? How secure is that computer? Wait, you're storing this on your personal laptop? Uh-oh. So this collecting of sensitive student information is ripe for a FERPA violation. You cannot collect this information from students. This is just really bad. You have here healthy versus less healthy. Oh, now you're looking at HIPAA. So let's go for broke here. And I don't know if very many of the students are landowners, but again, if you can see down here below, adapted from National Centers of Excellence. Wait, adapted? How did you adapt it? You have one of the entries as adults versus young adults. So obviously you didn't adapt this at all. I mean, landowners versus tenants. And North American versus the rest of the world. I would assume that most of the students are North American, given that this is at Blair Middle School. So how can she say, or he say, that this is adapted? It adapted from the National Centers of Excellence. Oh yeah, Center of Excellence. In Women's Health Cultural Competence Curriculum, originally from Operation Concern, Department of Social Work Education. Is everything not here totally unsurprising? And at San Francisco State University. This has no educational value whatsoever in any context, but it certainly should not be given out in a public school. This is really dangerous. It can get you into a lot of trouble. If you have collected, for example, this information about whether students are Christians or not, and suppose you give a Christian an F, he's got you. You compelled him to tell you his religious denomination. And if you have any evidence that you have something against Christians, which is pretty obvious by looking at this paper here, you're in serious trouble. So, yeah, we don't do this, guys. And keep in mind, there is no purpose for this anyway, because as a teacher, you're supposed to be teaching students stuff that can help them become successful. This does nothing. I mean, it basically tells the students that since you're not privileged, well, you don't have much of a chance of succeeding, so why even bother? Why work to get an A in the class if those privileged people are always going to have the upper hand on you? The only purpose such a thing really serves in any context is just to make people bitter. So, at any rate, if anybody can tell me for sure if this was given out in a school district or not, let me know. Again, I'm just kind of working under the assumption that it did, but it really doesn't matter. This is garbage. Like my video and subscribe to my channel.